Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell in the upper right-hand corner. Follow me on all forms of social media. Check me out at thatdrummerguy.com and enjoy the following presentation.
Hi there.
Hi, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for taking time to do this interview.
Well, thank you for actually doing an interview with me.
Well, I'm very happy to do it, and so happy to be able to talk about some brand new Hammerfall in the form of Dominion coming out the 16th of August through Napalm Records. I've gotten the chance to be able to check out this album over the last week or so, and I just absolutely love where Hammerfall is at right now in 2019. No matter how fast, no matter how slow, no matter what the lyrics are about, this just feels like a pure Hammerfall album, and that's what I love from you guys.
Wow, cool. I'm really glad to hear that. You know, it's kind of, you know, that's kind of the same feeling I have about this album, and I think Hammerfall is at a very good place at this point.
And that makes me so happy to hear that too. I mean, with the long consistency that the band has been going on right now, with so many albums, so many amazing tours, and so many great things that have been happening over the last few years around the world, it's great to see that the band is still at the top of its game right now in 2019.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. It's kind of funny that you mentioned that even though some of the guys are already over 50 years old, and I'm actually getting there very, very, very soon, it's kind of weird that it feels like Hammerfall is more vital than ever before. And if you compare, you should never compare with other bands, but I mean, you know, other bands around the same age, usually, you know, you go downhill from 45 and on, and it feels like we got some sort of momentum going on the Built to Last tour, I would say, and we kind of managed to take that momentum and all the great energy we had on stage into the songwriting process and then into the studio. So no, it feels like like I said earlier, that we are at a very good place in life.
And it's great to hear that as well too, because the more that I do listen to this album, the more that it really does feel like such a great live feeling album as well, rather than just a studio album. So it's great to see that fire and energy of what's been going on with Hammerfall lately did make it onto the new record.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy to go into the studio and overproduce things nowadays. I mean, a funny story is that when we did the vocals in Los Angeles with James Michael, after the first song was done, he did like two different mixes of the same song. And first he played the first version, I listened to it, and it sounded fantastic. Everything was, you know, put into place, it was well polished, but it didn't feel alive. Then he played the second version where he just, you know, if there was something minor things to adjust, he did it. Otherwise, he just left it as it was to maintain this live feeling. And when I heard that version, I said, you know what? This is exactly what we want. This is exactly how we want to present Hammerfall, because that was also the way we recorded the drums, the bass, and the guitars, you know, to try and keep this live feeling instead of overproducing and actually sounding like more or less everyone else. I mean, it's so easy to record an album nowadays, but it's harder than ever to make it sound alive.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, especially when a software and being able to set up your own studios at home and other things like that become much more affordable than they have in the past, it is so easy to be able to record things at home and to be able to make the album sound as perfect as possible. But like you said, being able to get that live feeling behind it, making it feel like it's real musicians getting into the studio and being able to get that real feeling that you'd be able to see this band live and want to be able to get that experience is almost becoming a lost touch.
Yeah, I mean, perfect is not perfect in this case, I would say. It's, I mean, sometimes when you listen to an album and then you go and see this band live, it sounds too far from the album that you can't really, you know, recognize the guys. Like, hey, what's going on here? This doesn't sound anything at all like the album. Ever since we started to write songs together, me and Oscar, back in the mid-90s, we wanted to write songs that we were going to be able to play live. I mean, we wrote songs that would be easy to take with us or transfer into live versions instead of making it too complicated or things like that. I'm not sure if you follow what I'm saying here, but it's Hammerfall is meant to be seen and experienced live for sure.
Oh, I absolutely understand with that too, and it's great to see that, almost a couple decades now after being able to collaborate on albums together, that the same mindset is there. Even though the idea of being able to make albums easier might be a tempting way to go about it, you still want to be able to keep that live feel behind it, because that's what you want to be able to present people when they actually do go to see them live.
Yeah, of course, and like we were talking about earlier, I mean, nowadays with in the computer era, sorry, and we have software where you can actually change more or less everything in recording. It's so easy that you get lost in this process. I mean, I heard so many productions where even though we have a great drummer, they changed every drum hit on the album, and that's not fair for anyone. I think, especially for the drummer who's working his ass off behind the drums, and all of a sudden his drumming is not even on the album. And that's also something on this album that I think is really that stands out in the production and also in the actual performance, and that is the drummer, our almost new drummer, David Wallen, who is on top of his performance. I think that he is one of the kind of the how do you say, the MVP on this album? Well, not really. Everyone is, of course, as important as the other, but I think that his drumming made the songs even more powerful.
Yeah, and I can absolutely understand and agree with that as well. I mean, when you have authentic drum tones that are going on and you actually aren't replacing all the sounds with drum samples and other drum tones that are going on, and you're just letting David be David behind the kits, it sounds the way that Hammerfall should sound. And I think that's what does make the album feel so much more authentic and natural, and the way Hammerfall should be, because it wasn't sound replaced. It was just him playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is the way it should be done. But I mean, if you go back to the early 2000s when the computer era came, and there were so many things you can do with the computer, people used it 100%. And I think sometimes it would have been better not to use it, because a lot of sounds are dated already. It's the same in the movie industry. I would say in the mid and late 90s, when they started to use the CGI, it looked impressive for like 2 weeks. And then something else came around, like a faster computer, and they could do cooler things. And I mean, there's a Batman movie from the mid 90s I can't really watch anymore because it's horrible. So you should always be careful with what kind of computer stuff you use in productions.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm always a sucker for that when it comes to movies. I mean, having the practical effects, rather than just having a whole movie shot in front of a green screen and trying to make it feel like it's authentic. I mean, when you're able to use more of that real natural production, be it in movies, be it in music, just in art in general, you get more of that authenticity that's going on there. And again, that's what I love about this album. From start to finish, it is Hammerfall.
Oh, cool. I'm happy to hear that. It's that's how we see it also. I mean, it's 5 guys performing together.
Oh, that's so great to hear that. And, with that, I mean, what's it like to just have this album coming out in just a little under a month now?
It feels kind of weird in one way, because we recorded this album between January and March earlier this year. And now I'm sitting here, it's getting close to August, and it feels like I closed that book a couple of months ago and I moved on. That is the downside of, writing and recording at an early stage. And then you have to sit around on your ass and wait for like 6 months before you can present it to the world. So that's kind of weird. And you're even though I'm getting a bit older now, it feels like I'm like a kid from school when I show my parents what I did at at the what do you call it, handicraft, or the whatever you do when you're doing something creative. At the same time, I'm so anxious to get the feedback from the true fans. Of course, you will always get someone complaining, saying, "Yeah, I didn't really expect this from you guys." Well, the honest truth, never expect anything from anyone else, because that will only make you, be disappointed, because it's so much easier to release your debut album, because then you release something that no one expected. That's why very often people praise the very first album, the debut album, because it's usually just comes out of nowhere. But that album will also be like the referral album for the rest of the career. And that's something that always happens to us. But that was a little, side note here. No, I'm really psyched about the whole thing, and we have so many great, tours lined up for this album, and also on this tour, we're going to focus a lot on North America. I mean, we did 2 long tours on the previous album, and we will at least do. Well, there's 1 tour confirmed, and you shouldn't be surprised if there will be another, headline tour coming up next year.
Oh, and that just makes me so happy to hear that too. I mean, the fact that you guys have been coming over here to North America so often lately. I mean, whether you're headlining and whether you're playing with bands like Flotsam and Jetsam, the upcoming tour Sabaton. I mean, there's so many great bands that you can tour the States with, and no matter whether you're opening or headlining, it's great to see how much that you guys are coming out here and making that impact here once again.
Yeah, I mean, we gave up on the U.S. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. In the beginning of, let's say, I think it was 2010 or 2011, we did the last tour, and that was a disaster. I'm not sure what went wrong, but we came back home after 5-6 weeks. We couldn't even pay the electricity bill at home. But then we found people that truly believed in us, and we say, let's give it another one last try. And the tour we did with Delane in 2017, I think that was the game changer for everything, because not only did we come closer as a band, we became much more unity within the band, and that is by far one of the greatest tours of my career. I mean, even though it was not playing big arenas or halls, it was still one of the greatest tours we ever did. So we decided to come back a year after, and I had almost had the same experience on that tour. And I think a lot of that, like the momentum, I was talking about the momentum earlier, I think during these tours, we really, we took this momentum, we took all this positive energy from stage, off stage, and just put it into the songwriting process. So I think that's one of the big reasons why this album sounds the way it does. It's just, because we toured so much, and we toured so much in North America. So, yeah, I'm so happy that it works now, and we're going to work even harder with North America on this album.
Oh, and it's definitely an album that deserves that love and praise in that live setting. And, being able to tour with a band like Sabaton, and being able to showcase the album, being able to showcase Sabaton fans in North America who may not be as familiar with Hammerfall to that style. So, showing off the new album, showing off the classics from Hammerfall. I mean, it definitely sounds like going about the right direction. That way, you can bring in those new fans and the old fans for 2020 and really show off everything that's going on with the headlining tours that will be coming up.
Absolutely. I couldn't, say it better myself. I think you answered your own question there.
Well, I know it's definitely got me excited.
We decided to. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying it's got me very excited to see what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, now we bring the 2 biggest heavy metal bands from Sweden, and we tour together in the U.S., and that's going to be epic for sure. And the best thing is still that there are no local support bands. It's only Sabaton and Hammerfall, meaning that we are allowed to play much longer than we would otherwise. So this is like the perfect, it's a great chance and opportunity for us to to convert some of the Sabaton fans also into Hammerfall. Absolutely. And we're going to do, everything we can to do so. It's not like you have to go up there and just, play 60 minutes of music and think you won the battle or you won the war. I mean, it's going to be tough because there are always people that are, only waiting for the headliner. They don't care who's opening up, and they're going to make sure that you know that as a special guest. But I'm very positive that the Sabaton fans will, appreciate us and show us some love.
Oh, yeah, and it's got me so excited as well. I mean, being a fan of both bands and the bands being just different enough, still bringing that heavy metal power, but, very different styles of what's going on. I think there's going to be people that are looking for that Hammerfall sound that may not have discovered it here yet in the States, and vice versa for Sabaton fans, or Hammerfall fans looking for something in Sabaton if they're not familiar as well. And with 13 albums to be able to choose from, and being able to focus on the new album and playing the classics, and with no local openers, being able to actually play so much of the material that you may not be able to otherwise. It's just great to see that.
But it's going to be so hard to make a set list, from when we have 100 plus songs. How do you narrow that down to like 12 songs? That's going to be impossible. So I think we already started to talk about, okay, what songs do we have to play, and what songs do we have to, what darlings do we have to kill? So that will be the tough nut to crack here.
And, with that in mind, obviously there are the Hammerfall songs that have become such staples of the band. I mean, what's it like to still be able to perform those in areas like North America and around the world, compared to being able to show off brand new material like you would with Dominion?
I mean, playing the new songs, I think that is kind of more of a challenge for us to be able to come up on stage and play new songs, because a song like Hearts on Fire we played at every show since 2002. Every single show since 2002 we played that song, and that's a song we have to play, because if we didn't play the song, the fans would go berserk totally. They would tear down the place because they want to hear Hearts on Fire. It's the same thing as Deep Purple would come on stage and not play Smoke on the Water. I mean, that's kind of are you serious, guys? You have to play it. Yeah, but it's so boring. Yeah, well, maybe it is, but I mean, every time we start off a song like Hearts on Fire, I see the reaction from the crowd, and that gives me such a great boost, so I think it's I love playing both, because it's still when you get the reaction you're after, then it doesn't matter if it's a new song or an old song. But it's also fun to take these more obscure songs, kind of finding a song that you never played live before and just throw it in there, and just wait for the reaction. And you always have your personal personal darlings that you want to play, but then of course sometimes you need to when me and Oscar, when we decide a set list, sometimes, okay, you pick one song, I pick one song, and you have one veto each. And if there's a song like, no, I put in my veto here, I don't want to play that song. So, but we're still proud of every song that we've done so far, more or less every song. So, no. I'm not sure what you really asked, but I just gave you a long answer here.
Oh no, I love that too. I mean, I love being able to get that insight into it when you are picking out songs for for like an hour-long set list, which will be coming up here later in the year. And again, like you said, you have 100 plus songs, you have 13 albums and a brand new album to be able to promote with that. I mean, even the songs that you would veto, it might not just because you don't like the song, it just may not feel right in the set, or there might be some different changes that you have to do that would eat up some time, or whatever the case is. So it's not so much about not liking the song as it is just trying to make the best possible set list that you can in that amount of time. And it's great to see that kind of thinking between you and Oscar.
Now, you're 100% correct here. You have to, it's a well thought out set list. You need to have the fast songs, the mid-tempo songs, maybe take it down a little bit, and then you need to have like the punch in the face, a little surprise, and a very big happy ending.
Oh, and that's got me so excited to be able to see you guys again coming up here with Sabaton, being able to see you here in Minnesota. And it's, of course, with my last name, having that Swedish heritage, it's great to see that Swedish metal coming back here where I'm from for just one amazing night of great Swedish bands. And it's great to see how extensive of a tour this is, too. And just being able to get your name out there as much as it is, even 13 albums into the career of Hammerfall, it's great to see, just how much you are exploring North America again with the bands that you're touring with and everything that'll be coming up in 2020 as well.
Yeah, and I mean we have to tour Minnesota every time. I mean, I saw your last name, and I really. I realized that directly, but I'm not sure that if you know that we are actually supporting the Minnesota Wild, the hockey team.
That's right.
They're playing one of our songs during the not the face-off, but the intro thing going on. I think it's before the third period starts, and we went to visit Minnesota Wild last year. And we got the grand tour of the arena, and they told us that they have the dream they have is that one day when the Mini Wild will be in the Stanley Cup Finals, Hammerfall will play live on the ice rink.
Oh, I would love that. I mean,
I would love that too.
No,
That's so cool.
I'm just envisioning that in my head too, because I know the XL Center so well. So many shows that I've seen there for concerts. Like obviously the Minnesota Wild playing there as well, and I'm just envisioning for the NHL Finals and being able to see you guys playing and being able to support the Minnesota Wild like that. I mean, that would just be absolutely incredible, and it'd be so great to actually see you guys play in an arena here in North America.
Yeah, I mean, just standing there playing their song, "Fury of the Wild" from the Chapter 5 album. I mean, that's their song now, and that's a dream, and I really hope it's going to come true one day.
Oh, absolutely. And, again, too, even with an album like Chapter 5 coming out in 2005, and then just seeing everywhere that the band has gone since then, too, I mean, it's so cool that, the Minnesota Wild were, such big fans that they were able to go back to that album and pick that song out to be able to promote the NHL team from here. And, and the fact that you guys do keep that in mind, it's like, we have to play Minnesota. I mean, it's great to hear that too, because, obviously for me being a little bit lazy with that, I'm only 15 minutes away from most of the venues here in Minnesota. So, it's great to see how often that you guys do come back, how often I can see you guys, and, just like all these different areas and venues that you are able to play every single time that you guys come here. It's so cool to see that.
No, I mean, it's great to spend time up there, too. I mean, I was really driving around a couple of years ago, and I visited some of the, small towns or cities with Swedish names, like the city of Mora, for instance. I was born in the city of Mora in Sweden, and there's, a sister city in Minnesota, which has the same, this Swedish horse, this Dala horse, and, Nah, I'm talking about something else here. Yeah, no, it's just great to spend time there too, just because of the Swedish heritage or the Swedish connection.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that too. In the upper parts of the Twin Cities area, I mean, it definitely has the sister cities of the Scandinavian areas, and it's so great to see that was the case too. I mean, I didn't realize that connection that was there, and that's just so cool to hear that.
Yeah, it's really cool because it was so many Swedes that left Sweden back in the day.
Oh, very much so. And getting back into everything that's going on with Hammerfall too. Such a great Swedish tour that's going to be coming up here soon with Sabaton. A brand new album from Hammerfall in Dominion coming out 16th through August, just a few days before my birthday. There's so many great things to be. It's such a great time to be able to be a Hammerfall fan, whether you're in the band or or a fan of the band, because there's so much to look forward to.
Yeah, I think so too. It's going to be Christmas a couple of times this year and next year if you're a fan. No, I mean, we have a great setup for this album. You know, we released the first video and single in May, June. We released a brand new song 2 weeks ago. There will be another new song and the official video coming out on August 1st or 2nd. And then, you know, right after the album comes out, we're going to go, you know, on a small tour to Colombia, and then we do 3 special shows in the US on the way back home. So, I mean, it's, you know, it's a great setup, and we can't wait to, you know, start promoting and touring this album. It's going to be massive.
Oh, and again, I can't wait to see it myself as well. And with you guys playing here at the Skyway Theater, it's going to be a gigantic stage that you guys are going to be playing on. So there's like plenty of room to be able to witness that Hammerfall live show and, you know, get a little bit of what you guys have done in the past with what I've seen from videos and pictures of those legendary Hammerfall setups in the past. And I can't wait to see what the Dominion setup is going to be like.
Yeah, you're going to get a small version, like a smaller version now when we do the special guest tour, because we don't really have room to bring the stuff we have over here, but it's going to be very energetic. And I usually say if we play in front of 100 people or 6,000 people, it doesn't matter. The show is going to be the same.
And I love hearing that too. You know, it's like no matter the size of the crowd, no matter who you're touring with, no matter where you're touring, you want to be able to put on the best possible show that you can. And it's great to see that mentality going in there. And I'm just hoping with everything that's going on with Dominion, you know, being able to turn those hundreds into thousands and just being able to really pack in the houses, because again, I can't say it enough. I love what's going on with Dominion. It feels like such a great, authentic Hammerfall album in 2019. It deserves that live praise. And the more that people are able to check out this album and hear those songs live, I think the happier they'll be and the more they'll be those long-standing Hammerfall fans.
Oh, I hope so too. I really hope so too. I think we need to round off here because I have another guy knocking on the door here for the next interview.
Oh yes, I was just about to wrap things up here, and I guess that's a good way to be able to end it. So again, thank you very much for taking the time to be able to do this and talk about everything in the world right now of Hammerfall. Of course, the brand new album, Dominion, coming out the 16th of August through Napalm Records. I love this album. It's going to be one of my favorite albums of the year when I do my best of list, and it's great to see where you guys are at here 2019. I can't wait to see you guys live again, and thank you once again for taking the time to be able to talk to me.
I appreciate everything. I appreciate everything you just said. Thank you very much. So see you in Mini.
Oh, sounds great. And once again, thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.